Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 52 units of real estate and I help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So today I want to talk about the financial freedom formula, which is your income over your expenses, and that's how you become financially free. So there's two ways to build the wealth equation. Is you can increase your income. There's an infinite possibility of your income potential, and then the expense is what's kind of more controllable, but you can only go down so low, right? So for expenses, that's kind of been my focus. So like for the longest time, I've been focused on increasing my income. So I've worked a W-2 job, I've job hopped to different hospitals, moved into management, and then my W-2 income has went from like 120K starting to like more than double that today. And then in terms of like building real estate income and assets, I started off buying more appreciation focused assets, and then I converted that over to more cash flowing assets. And I now sit at a nice, $10,000 per month positive cash flow. On top of that, I have a dividend stock portfolio and consisting of mostly Vanguard index funds. So every quarter or every month, I get monthly dividends from that income. So I've always been focusing on increasing my income because I knew that there's infinite upside potential, right? But now that I've kind of hit the point where I'm like comfortable in terms of my income, I'm now focusing on my expenses. So the expenses is the basic expense that you'll have is your rent or your mortgage. So for me, I was renting for very cheap. I was paying $2,300 a month to rent a studio in Santa Monica, but it was a small 400 square foot studio, which is not family friendly. If I'm being honest, no families live there. And then now, obviously I upgraded to this current house I'm sitting in, and, I have a mortgage, 6.5% interest rate. And, my all-in cost is about $7,500 a month. So now my expenses is higher, right? And that's just my, living expenses, $700 a month. I have, health insurance, which is subsidized through my W-2 job. But, obviously if I, left my W-2 job and I retired, I have to pay for my own health insurance, which would be about $2,000 a month on average for a family of four, assuming you're healthy. And then, basically I have, our cars are paid off. So that's not an expense or whatever maintenance we have. I have a Tesla, so, I don't have to pay for gas because I just charge my car at home, and I have solar panels. So it's usually free for the most part or very low cost. And then, we have our expenses, but we don't really spend that much there. So I've been really honing in on our expenses, and like I looked up I asked ChatGPT like the 5 basic expenses. I think number 1 was like your rent or your mortgage. So one thing I want to do is eventually I said this multiple times, sell a single family home, pay off this house, wipe off my mortgage. So I'll go from $700 a month total all in to about $2,000 a month, which is just my property tax, my HOA, my utilities, my insurance and maintenance, right? So it's only $2,000. So I trim my expenses by about $5,500 a month, which is significant in terms of financial freedom, right? And then the next largest expense is your car. So like I said, my Tesla is paid off. Christine's Camry is paid off. So we don't have to worry about a car. And then if we were to like get a new car, worst case, your car payments, let's say the Camry broke and we got a Tesla Model 3, it would be like $300 or $800 a month, I would say. So it's not terrible, but we have no car payment. The next thing is, what was it? Number 3, I think number 4 was like healthcare. So once again, when you're working, it's subsidized, but if not, it's $2,000 a month, which can be expensive. Number 3 was food. So like for me, Christine, like we're very good at like grocery shopping. Like, if you go to Asian supermarkets, you go to Walmart, you can buy things on sale. Like we only buy meats on sale, or you even go to Costco. Like you can go on Costco. They have like random sales for like really high quality meat. You just buy it, you freeze it, and you have a lot of meat, right? So like for food, we weren't that concerned because we're very thrifty, like in how we buy. Like we buy meats on sale, and then whatever's on sale for that day at the Asian market, we'll just buy that meat. Like if ground pork's on sale, we'll buy ground pork. If ground beef's on sale, we buy ground beef. If chicken wings are on sale, we buy chicken wings, right? If pork belly's on sale, we buy pork belly. If steak's on sale, we buy steak, right? So that's a way to save money. Another way too is like when you like buy grocery shopping, like Walmart, like you go to Walmart or even Costco, they have their like in-house white label brand, like Equate is Walmart and Kirkland is Costco. Like if you just buy that, it's like 20 to 30% cheaper than the brand equivalent, so you can save money right there too, right? So like we didn't think food was that expensive for us. Obviously dental care can get expensive too, like if you have to pay yourself, but We make an effort to like really have good oral hygiene, especially now. Floss every day, you brush every day. After you eat, rinse your mouth so there's no food particles in your mouth. So like basic stuff like that we've adopted really helped us. So we're not really concerned about that. So if we were to look at it, our basic expense is going to be our house, but we're going to pay off the mortgage. So it's $2,000. Health insurance, let's say for family of four, is $2,000, and then raising a kid is, let's say each kid's $2,000. That's $8,000 a month right there. Right. So now our minimum expense, assuming we're in California, we pay off house $8,000. And it's like not too bad, right? Like imagine if I had my mortgage of $8,000 plus each kid does $12,000. That's why people have to work so many jobs, because it's so expensive to live in California, right? So, if I didn't build as much wealth or made as much money, I probably would leave California and go somewhere where it's cheaper, like Vegas or Arizona, where it's like cheaper. As long as I'm near like an Asian market, I'm good. Like a Ranch 99 or like a H Mart, I'm good, right? Or a Japanese supermarket, Costco. That's good for the most part. So for food, food can be expensive if you eat out, but like we don't eat out as much as anymore, because it just doesn't taste as good, if I'm being honest, compared to my 20s. Like we tried a lot of food, and like when you cook at home, it can be a lot cleaner, obviously a lot cheaper, right? Like if you go out and get a nice steak, it could be like $50-$60, but like you cook at home, like each steak's like maybe $15-$20 each, and then you can have multiple steaks. So for us, it's healthcare. So healthcare can be $2,000. Like we looked it up, like for a family of four, through our job, it's about $600 a month if I still work a W-2, versus if I just went through covered California or the ACA, it's about $2,000 a month. So it's about a little over 2.5x times. But I'm like, I don't want going to work just for health insurance. I know a lot of people do that, but like I don't want that reason to be of not retiring because of health insurance. So I need to make sure I either get enough income to cover that or wipe out some more expenses to do that. So for me, realistically, it's just like, well, if I know my health insurance is going to cost $2,000 a month, and maybe I can get 3 rentals in Huntsville, Alabama that cash flow $800 each, and then that can cover my health insurance. Okay, so those 3 properties are my health insurance properties, or I could pay off one of my rentals and have no mortgage. So if I wipe out a $2,000 mortgage on let's say my 20-unit apartment complex, then my cash flow increased by $2,000. That's enough to cover my expenses, right? So we know we can retire because I can either A, increase income by taking debt off the table or buying more rentals, or B, lowering my expenses by being very thoughtful in how we spend our money, right? Because even now, like we literally like struggle to spend money because like we have everything we need. Like we just signed up for a Chase Preferred card, and you just spend $5,000 in like the first like 5 months. And I thought it was gonna be easy, but I'm like, oh my God, we're actually kind of struggling because like we made our big purchases already. So the only thing I need to buy a laptop, and then we have like 2 trips coming up soon. So obviously when we travel, it'll charge the card, and then we'll get the points at that point. So it's kind of hard, like outside of travel, like we don't really spend much. Like I just need a new laptop, but it's not super urgent for a laptop. I can survive with my current laptop, but it's just so I think we manage our expenses like very, very well, if I'm being honest. So like I said, it's just going to be health insurance of $2,000, paid off house would be $2,000 property tax, and then each kid. And then like I don't think it's going to cost us $2,000 per kid, because we don't probably plan on going to private school. We want to go to like public school to save money there. And then obviously with daycare, Christine's probably going to be like part-time. And then, obviously we have in-laws kind of nearby. And then, I have daycare as well in case we need to pay, but daycare can be $2,000. But if you can avoid that expense, then it's not too bad, right? It's not too bad in terms of that aspect. So we'll see how expensive kids are, right? Like, once you have kids, I still have a place to live. Obviously there's activities, hopefully they're healthy. If not, then, it get expensive there. So it's really about what I've been focusing on is like really looking at the expenses and how they're going to be. So I think I'm going to be about $8,000 a month on the low end. Obviously we travel. I still want to like make income. Like when I retire, like for my W-2, I'm still wanting to make income in a way, right? I think I was talking to Christine, my wife. I was just like, ideally would want to like, if I could somehow produce $5,000 a month, like outside of real estate, outside of anything else, like whether that's through YouTube, whether that's through coaching, that's enough money. Like that'll cover like half my living expenses, and then the other half can be covered through my rental income, through my 4% rule from the withdrawals. Like I'd be good enough with that, to be honest. Like if I would live very comfortably, and then if I can withdraw my money, and then that money I can use that money to splurge on something nice, right? Or I was even looking at it, like literally you can get season tickets to the San Diego Chargers for like $150, but it's just standing. Like you just stand. That's like $30. I'm like, wow, it's only $30, but then it's parking is like $100, right? So, but like it's just like, wow, you could do quite a bit for like pretty inexpensive, right? Or you could live in like Thailand or Vietnam for like a month for just the hotel, like for $600 a month. It's just to live there in like a nice 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Maybe let's call it $1,000 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. If you have a family of 4, and then like food in like Vietnam or Thailand is like each meal is like $1 or $2 per person. So like what, $8 for a meal per day. So you can live a pretty good life, right? If you were to like geo arbitrage and like travel to like Southeast Asia, it's only if you're like in America it gets expensive, right? So another way I thought too is like you can like rent an RV and then like just like travel, like in stay in RV areas and travel pretty well there. So to kind of summarize this, like I spent the past 12 years just increasing my income, but now that I'm getting close to financial freedom, I'm now focusing on what expenses I can cut to optimize myself, right? And for me, taking the mortgage off the table is one of them. And then finding ways to be very intentional how we spend. And then we're also trying to like buy everything now while we're working, right? So buy all the big ticket items now while we're working, while we can afford it. And then at that point, we know if we can step away from our jobs and be okay with it, right? And be really okay with it. So like, obviously I'll still be working when I have kid 1, kid 2 to cover diapers, formula, daycare. But then once maybe they're older, I can step away and they get a little cheaper. And then that's how you kind of, live life. So, I have some friends who have kids and they're just like, yeah, they're not as expensive as you think, but obviously daycare is the base expense, and then, diapers and formula. But anyways, hopefully you found some value from this video. Just want to give a rant about financial freedom and how I focus on the income first. Now I'm focusing on lowering my expenses as low as possible and being very intentional in how I spend. So for me, I'm willing to be more frugal in how I live my life, and be intentional in how I spend. If I can retire earlier, and then me and Christine, that's just how we are anyways. Like we can find ways to like save money on hotels, save money on flights, save money on things. We're very like methodical and like how we do stuff. Like we went to like a Blackpink concert like recently, and like we just found like we didn't park at SoFi, but we found parking for like 1/3 the cost, but you're gonna have to walk, right? And we don't mind walking because it's like healthier. And when we go to concerts, like we don't need to be front row and spend $1,000, but we can be at the nosebleeders, and it costs only like $80, right? I'd rather be at multiple concerts for $80 versus like be front row at one concert for $1,000. Like if I want to like get that front row experience, and people post it on YouTube, I hate to say it, so you can watch it and see, but I'm fine, being in the back and still enjoying the vibe. Still good vibe, good ambiance. Still hear the music very well. It's still very loud. So like, we're very intentional on how we spend. So that's how we minimize our expenses. But like you said, maybe my expenses will just like, my income will increase over time. Maybe I'll blow up on YouTube, make a lot of money. Maybe I'll own a lot of rental property down the road and make more money. And then at that point, I'll just lifestyle inflate too, right? So anyways, if you want one-on-one coaching from real estate, multifamily real estate, click on my link tree down below. From there, you can see my courses, my coaching. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.